Thursday NBA Roundup, Westbrook's MVP chances remain strong, but winning matters. When the NBA names the 2016-17 MVP in a few months, a game from early January could loom large for James Harden and Russell Westbrook. After all, the Houston Rockets' 118-116 victory over the Oklahoma City Thunder was a triple-double away from serving as a microcosm of the race for the league's biggest individual award. Houston's bearded point guard struggled with turnovers, as usual, but finished with an efficient 26 points, 8 rebounds and 12 assists. That line doesn't even include the brilliant play he made with the game on the line, drawing multiple defenders during the final seconds and then slipping the ball to Neen, who drew a foul and took the lead at the stripe. Westbrook matched him step for step. The dynamic floor general was a terror, recording 49 points, 8 rebounds, 5 assists and 2 steals while shooting 16 of 34 from the field and making a career-high 8 triples, which you can see below. But Westbrook's heroics weren't enough. Even after he helped his team erase a double-digit deficit and tie the game with seconds to spare, he couldn't capitalize on an advantageous situation. And that's why, if the margin between these two leading candidates remains close after 82 games, voters could look back at the final possessions, not including the Thunder's desperation tip attempt with 0.7 seconds remaining. When Westbrook had a chance to take the lead, he settled for a contested 3 against Harden. Little action occurred other than the isolation set, and his attempt clanged off the iron. Conversely, Harden made the proper play and earned the victorious post-game interview with TNT. CBSSports.com's Matt Moore commented on the implications of Harden's play. Those brief moments may not seem significant over the course of a season, but they sum up the portion of the unofficial MVP criteria in which Westbrook trails. Typically, the man who holds up the Morris Potoloff Trophy achieves statistical excellence, has a narrative working in his favor and is on a successful team. There's no question Harden and Westbrook have numbers working in their favor, but the latters are superior. After this scoring outburst, he's averaging 31.4 points, 10.4 rebounds and 10.3 assists. Even including Oscar Robertson's historic triple-double season, which came during an era that featured far more possessions per 48 minutes, we've never seen anything like this. That also aids him in the narrative department. So long as he averages a triple-double, his resume for that criterion will remain unbesmirched. But winning matters. It has to. No MVP since Michael Jordan in 1988 has earned the award while playing for a team that finished outside the top 2 seeds in its conference. Even then, his Chicago Bulls finished third in the East, a mere 4 games shy of the number 2 Detroit Pistons. That may change this year with the Golden State Warriors and San Antonio Spurs continuing to perform like juggernauts. But it's more likely the voters acquiesce to Harden's record, since his Rockets have yet to lose their 10th game. It doesn't surprise me, head coach Mike D'Antoni told ESPN.com's Calvin Watkins about his team's place in the Western standings. I didn't know how good we could be really quick or how good we could be anywhere. They're picking it up and after about 10 games we got our stride and we got Pat Beverly back from knee injury. We've been good every game and we just got to keep it going. Billy Donovan can't quite say the same about his Thunder, who fell to 21-16 after this disappointing finish. And while it may seem unfair to hold team success against Westbrook when he doesn't have a supporting cast quite like the one assembled around his former backcourt mate, and, in my opinion, it is unfair, that's what will happen. It also doesn't help that Westbrook failed to come through down the stretch, taking over possessions and bogging down the offense to no avail. In clutch situations, defined as possessions within the last 5 minutes of games separated by no more than 5 points, Westbrook is shooting 42.7% from the field and 26.7% from beyond the arc while turning the ball over 5.9 times per 36 minutes. He's done a lot of good, and the Thunder wouldn't be in high leverage moments without him, but the bad decision-making can loom large. Westbrook is attempting to subvert historical precedent with his MVP bid, leaning on astronomical statistics and achievements virtually unmatched throughout the NBA annals. But the winning factor still has to matter, and Harden isn't giving up that one without a fight. Rest assured this battle will rage on for the rest of the season. We already can't wait for the March 26 rematch, when Westbrook will attempt to tie the season series against his rival. Jeff Teague's tenure with the Indiana Pacers didn't get off to the best start. The point guard struggled his way to a 37.1 field goal percentage during his first 10 contests in a new uniform. But he's turning on the Jets. During the dozen games leading into Thursday night's matchup with the Brooklyn Nets, he averaged 16.5 points, 4.5 rebounds and 9.5 assists while shooting 44.4% from the field. Then, he put on another show. Teague excelled throughout Indiana's 121-109 victory over the Nets, recording 21 points, 7 rebounds and 15 assists while making 9 of his 13 field goal attempts. But he was never better than in the third quarter, when the game seemed to slow down and open up every passing lane for him. During those 12 minutes, he recorded 8 assists, many of which involved him picking apart defensive fronts or squeezing the ball through defenders. This is exactly how the Pacers need him to play. Teague doesn't have to throw up more than $1's worth of dimes every time he's on the court, but his thriving as a primary distributor eases the offensive pressure Paul George endures every night. And when George's offense comes easier, or he doesn't have to produce as much, he's freed up to play high-level defense against the opposition's best forward. All of a sudden, the off-season trade is looking a lot better than it did during the season's opening salvo. With Giannis Antetokounmpo and Jimmy Butler qualifying as front-court players, there shouldn't be any doubt that Kyle Lowry has been superior to every other Eastern Conference backcourt member. And yet, he trailed 5 players in the first returns of All-Star voting, even falling behind Derrick Rose and another member of his own team, DeMar DeRozan. If Lowry was peeved, he didn't say anything. Instead, he let his play do the talking, willing his Toronto Raptors back against the Utah Jazz's stifling defense and sparking the 101-93 come-from-behind win. During the final 12 minutes, the point guard shook off an ankle injury suffered before halftime and recorded 16 of his 33 points to go along with 3 rebounds, 2 assists and 3 steals. He shot 5 of 6 from the field and knocked down both of his 3-point attempts. Meanwhile, the rest of his team only produced 14 points, and Utah was held to a mere 20 after entering that last period with a 2-point advantage. Of course, this isn't anything new for the Toronto one guard. He's been the driving force behind one of the preeminent offenses in NBA history, constantly aiding the scoring efforts with his sharp shooting ability and relentless creativity as a distributor. Just imagine what he might do if he thinks he was snubbed. After those first All-Star returns, he has a legitimate reason to feel that way. It's been a while since Boban Marjanovic earned anything more than a cursory mention. After parlaying his per-minute excellence as a rookie for the San Antonio Spurs into a 3-year, $21 million deal with the Detroit Pistons, he's all but disappeared. Prior to Thursday night's 115-114 victory over the Charlotte Hornets, Marjanovic had suited up just 14 times for the Motor City. When he'd worked his way onto the court, he'd played a meager 5.4 minutes per game, averaging nothing more than 2.5 points, 1.9 rebounds and 0.5 blocks. But with Aaron Baines, ankle, unavailable, Marjanovic got his chance. And boy, did the 7 feet 3 inches behemoth capitalize. In 22 minutes, he exploded for 15 points and 19 rebounds. Line only DeMarcus Cousins, Anthony Davis, Andre Drummond, Dwight Howard, DeAndre Jordan and Hassan Whiteside have matched this season. Perhaps even more impressively, He did so while taking just 4 shots from the field. He made 3 of them and was fouled so frequently that he went 9 of 11 at the charity stripe. Now, take a look at how this performance compares to the season's body of work. "We have the worst defense in the NBA," Denver Nuggets head coach Mike Malone said after his team's Tuesday loss to the Sacramento Kings, per Denverite.com's Christian Clark. "That's the bottom line. It's embarrassing how we go out there and defend every night. That's something we have to try and fix as soon as possible because it's at an all-time low right now, and that is a huge concern of mine." 2 days later, his team validated the statement. Malone inserted Darrell Arthur into the starting lineup for Wilson Chandler, hoping to provide a bit more defense against the San Antonio Spurs. But the boost instead came on offense, where the Nuggets made each of their first 10 shots from the field.